Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into some absolutely critical source material today, focusing on the Pi Network SDK payment and security workflow. As we were digging into this, we realized it is literally a must-know for anyone navigating the Pi ecosystem. We're going to unpack exactly how this SDK payment handoff actually works. The goal here, to demystify the tech and make sure we can all protect ourselves and our fellow everyday pioneers from the bad actors out there. We've got some fascinating, highly structured info to get through, so let's get right to it. I want to kick things off with a burning question. Are your Pi assets truly secure? It's an incredibly exciting time for the network, right? We've got this rapidly expanding, thrilling decentralized app ecosystem, new services popping up, new digital goods, new ways to engage. But, and this is a big but, hand in hand with all that incredible innovation comes a very real, honestly devastating threat from scammers. These folks just want to take advantage of the hype, and they rely entirely on confusion and our technical blind spots. So today, we're going straight to the source documentation to eliminate those blind spots completely. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our survival guide map for today. First up, the anatomy of safe payments. Second, spotting payment threat vectors. Third, pioneer defense protocols. And we'll wrap it all up with a summary action checklist. So part 1, the anatomy of safe payments. Let's establish exactly how a legitimate transaction is actually supposed to work. Because, well, before we can spot a fake transaction, we really have to understand the baseline of a real one. Knowing how payments actually flow under the hood, that is what keeps your assets secure. So let's break down the exact architectural flow. Step 1 is the dApp front end. When you're buying goods or services in a decentralized app, you're interacting with this front end. But here's the kicker. The app doesn't just take your money. Instead, it triggers step 2, the official Pi JavaScript SDK. Specifically, it calls a function named window.pi.createPayment. This is the crucial bridge. Then that SDK triggers step 3, which is the Pi browser wallet confirmation prompt. Basically, the SDK opens up an official, highly secure prompt exclusively inside your Pi browser wallet to ask for your final approval. So the crucial point is, the app never touches your funds directly. Never. Because of that architectural handoff we just walked through, the decentralized app is completely 100% isolated from your wallet's core secrets. It's like an airlock. When that official prompt opens, you get to see the exact amount, the exact transaction memo, and the specific recipient. And most importantly, only your explicit biometric authorization, like your Face ID or fingerprint, or your specific passcode can actually sign that transaction. The power and the final say remains entirely in your hands. Moving on to part 2, spotting payment threat vectors. Now we need to stay sharp and look at the tricks bad actors use. Look, scammers know they can't break the official SDK. It's too secure. So what do? They rely on corrupted versions, visual anomalies, and psychological tricks to bypass it entirely. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between a secure SDK modal and a fake UI overlay. A native authentic wallet pop-up exists safely within the native environment of the Pi browser. A fake UI overlay, on the other hand, is just a malicious website injecting a lookalike form. It visually mimics a real payment pop-up, but it's a total facade. It's a digital mask designed specifically to steal your sensitive information outside of that secure environment by tricking you into dropping your guard. Let's rapidly fire through the 3 main bypass factors the source documentation warns us about. Number 1, like we just talked about, fake UI overlays. This is a malicious site literally forcing you to input info into fake web elements instead of the native browser wallet. Number 2 is direct address transfers. This is when scammers ask you to scan a random QR code or manually send Pi to some random personal wallet address. Honestly, they have incredible audacity with this one, asking for manual Pi transfers to pay for completely made-up things like node activation or some arbitrary network fee. I mean, seriously, who manually sends crypto to a total stranger to activate a node? No way. And finally, number 3, passphrase phishing via fake SDKs. This is where a bogus Wallet Connect script straight up asks you to type in your 24-word passphrase. The source material makes one thing absolutely incredibly clear. The official SDK never, and I mean never, requires manual wallet-to-wallet transfers for app checkouts. If you're using a dApp and it suddenly asks you to whip out your camera to scan a random QR code, or it hands you a super long wallet address and tells you, hey, go manually send this specific amount of Pi to complete your checkout, that is definitively a scam. Full stop. The legitimate SDK handles all the routing and the prompting for you automatically. All right, Part 3, Pioneer Defense Protocols. This is our ultimate shield, turning threat awareness into strict, insider engineering rules for your protection. Because knowing the threats, that's really only half the battle. Now we need to take action. The source material outlines 3 critical defense rules to protect ourselves. Rule 1. Trust only the native prompt. Authentic Pi payments only ever occur via the native Pi browser wallet interface that gets triggered by the SDK. If it's just some random web page pop-up, close it immediately. Rule 2. Inspect the callback and memo. This is absolutely vital. Before you ever even think about hitting that approve button, you need to read the exact amount, verify the recipient, and check the transaction memo. Make double sure that what you're approving actually matches what you intend to buy. And Rule 3, which is the absolute most important rule of them all, the zero passphrase policy. The documentation gives us this absolute baseline rule, and I'm going to quote it directly. The Pi SDK, core team, and legitimate developers will never request your 24-word phrase passphrase. Let me say that again. Never. This is your ultimate zero passphrase policy. It does not matter how professional the prompt looks or how slick the website is. Any web app that asks you to type your 24-word passphrase into a form instead of having you restore it inside the official wallet settings is a malicious harvest attempt. Period. If any domain asks for it, you must immediately disconnect and report them. Let's move to and see how this builds into Part 4, our summary action checklist. A quick, punchy action plan. We've covered the architecture, we've identified the threats, and we've set our defense rules. Now let's distill all of this down into a non-negotiable action plan that you can use every single day. Number 1, the environment check. Always execute your transactions strictly within the sandbox of the official Pi browser app. That is the only place where the SDK has secure control. Number 2, prompt verification. Always ensure that the payment pop-ups actually match the official native Pi wallet interface, rather than just being embedded web page elements masquerading as the real deal. And number 3, passphrase lockdown. Keep those 24 words completely, strictly offline. Never type them into any web form, dApp front end, or third-party extension. Ever. By truly understanding the technical handoff and knowing how to recognize the visual cues of a scam, you now have a rock-solid mental model to protect your assets. The real question is, now that you know the rules of the sandbox, are you ready to transact securely? What are you going to build or buy next in this ecosystem? The decentralized world is vast, and you know what? Now you can explore it with total confidence. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, stay safe out there.